Welcome to Letterbox Book Club. I am Mackenzie.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we will be discussing A Fire in the Flesh by...
You mean a... Sorry, I was just going to say, do you mean a flyer in the flesh?
A flyer in the flesh, yes. A flesh in the fiery hell, pits of hell by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Today is uncharacteristically hot, so it truly is a fire in the flesh over here.
Oi! I like that. I like that a lot.
I've got my fan on in the background.
Oh yeah, I see it. It looks pretty cozy though.
Yeah, it was just because I'm in my garage. I'm stifling.
You mean your studio?
My studio, yes. My garage studio. My garage band, if you will. Anyway, I will start us off with the description. The only thing that can save the realms now is the one thing more powerful than the fates. After a startling betrayal ends with both Sera and the dangerously seductive ruler of the Shadowlands, she has fallen madly in love with being held captive by the false king of the gods. Whoa, what a sentence. There is only one thing that can free Nyktos and prevent the forces of the Shadowlands from invading Dalos and igniting a war of primals. Fuck.
A successful episode, am I right? You okay though? You're good?
Yeah, I checked on air.
Yeah, all good.
Oh, okay.
Take your time.
Convincing Colas won't be easy though. Not even with now my voice is all Convincing Colas won't be easy though, not even with a lifetime of training. While his most favoured revenant is insistent that she is nothing more than a lie, Colas's erratic nature and twisted sense of honour leave her shaken to the core, and nothing could have prepared her for the cruelty of his court or the shocking truths revealed. The revelations not only upend what she has understood about her duty and the very creation of the realms, but also draw into question exactly what the true threat is. However, surviving Colas is only one part of the battle. The ascension is upon her and Sera is out of time. But Nyktos will do anything to keep Sera alive and give her the life she deserves. He'll even risk the utter destruction of the realms, and that's exactly what will happen if he doesn't ascend as a primal of life. Yet despite his desperate determination, their destinies may be out of their hands. But there is that foreseen, unexpected thread, the unpredictable, unknown and unwritten, the only thing more powerful than the fates.
Love that. How funny that the description is so much better than the actual book. You know?
No, Jesus Christ. I know just before that I said I was going to do thoughts, feelings, and emotions first, but I did the intro and I almost died, so I think it's only fair if you do thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Okay, no worries. Alright, my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I enjoyed the last 100 pages of this book.
Of course you did.
Because of course I did, because all these romantasy books suffer from this curse. Nothing happens in this book. This book is Sera being captured and then absolutely nothing is happening. She's resigned to being captured, but also at the same time, I need to escape, but also not actively planning an escape or trying to escape after her first attempt is quashed. Also, I've said this before and I will say it again, that we already know what happens because of the main From Blood and Ash series. So no matter the danger and the fraught upon them, we know that neither of them die. They, like Nyktos and Sera, go on to live a happy marriage that results in 2 sons. So, fair. Exactly. So we know, obviously, all the hype and the lead up to Sera, like she's dying and she tells Nyktos, take me to my lake, it's time. Like, we know that she doesn't die. I like that we get a little bit more detail surrounding how she was saved, blah, blah, blah. But again, as you said, love conquers all. Through love, anything is possible, blah, blah, blah. Love saves the day. I didn't realise that this was not the last book in this series.
Right,
so
okay.
I was, waiting. There was only a few chapters left, and I was like, how are they going to resolve this? I thought that we'd get a, 10 years later, and there's babies running around sort of deal, but
yeah.
Alas, no. And then we do get some also tidbits of information, and that's fun, but I'll get into it once you get into yours. I enjoyed some aspects. I could have done without it. I could have done without the first 85%. Yeah, that is all.
Alright, my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. This book incredibly frustrated me. Again, it felt really stagnant, not a lot, and I agree with you with Sera being just resigned to being a captured little prisoner who feels like she is incapable of trying to escape and do anything. and she's just like waiting for Nyktos and all that type of stuff to kind of get out of stasis, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also enjoyed aspects of like Callum's backstory and how he is finally weaved into this story, because he just seems like an annoying, unimpeding. He's more of a menace. He's more of a menace than a villain. Like I've always thought that as a
he's just there all the time, and you're like, go away.
Yeah, I just thought he was going to be this imposing villain-esque figure, but no, he's just there. He's just there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I absolutely forget that this is more of a romance story as opposed to a fantasy with a side of romance, and it is ultimately about Sera and Nyktos' love story, and that is the forefront of this book. That's why I skimmed the last 25%, because it's all them just like declaring their love and like their sacrifice to each other to try and make Sera survive all of this, etc., etc. And I'm glad we got a couple of things resolved, like Sera's ascension, because I feel like even though there's only been 3 books, I feel like it's been coming since the first book anyway, since it was established. And I'm glad we have ticked off the like Hannon v Bell thing, primal thing, and that just happened straight away as well. A tick for that. Interesting how we have resolved Sartoria's soul situation, but then that brings us some theories later on. Yeah, ultimately very stagnant, frustrated. A lot of dialogues and a lot of chapters are just spent her talking to either Collis, Ataze, Callum, even like Vessus at one point. It's just a lot of pages of just talking, and it's like, what are we doing here? But yeah, I again enjoyed small aspects, but overall it's just insignificant. And as you said, like, we know how it ends, so like, what's the point? So ultimately I think also Jennifer is trying to do too many things at once in a way. Like, she's trying to outline Sera and Nyktos' overall love story and their journey together as a couple, but then she's also trying to implement the history and like precedents of how like Ascended and Craven and all that created, which is stuff that you know, Poppy and Castile down the line know all that as well, kind of as it's passed down, etc. And I think it's just too much, because I feel like I'm getting confused now between like how do people actually ascend and like etc., etc. But and just like the societal hierarchy of it all. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, frustrated, but some little tidbits are fun.
Yeah, so I have many qualms and just things that I want to discuss.
Okay.
This book, yeah, there were so many times when Ataze just flew in to see Sera, and then it would just give these exposition dumps of information, and because I audio-booked a lot of it, there were times where, like, usually I can be quite engaged with an audiobook even when I'm doing things, but it just droned on and on that I found my mind wandering, and so then I would miss stuff and I'd have to come back and listen to it again. And there was just so much, and it's like, I don't know a more, succinct way to get the information out there, but yeah, just have this person talking for chapters, or like paragraphs upon paragraphs about these different topics or whatever. It wasn't a very like clear way for it to come across to me for information, because I just got bored, all my mind wandered. And then also, probably my fault, but I didn't read like a recap of the book before. So neither. I jumped straight in and I was so lost for a little bit. I was like, what is going on? And then I forgot who all the characters were and everything. And then just with the story overall, I wasn't too impressed by it, because the whole point was that Sera is going to Collis, and she the end game is she needs to go to Collis, make him fall in love with her so that she can kill him, etc.
Yes. Yeah.
But then the whole time she's just putting up a fight against him. So it's like, well, you're not really doing your plan, and then if you're not going to make him fall in love with you, then you need to try and escape. And then there's all the intricate details about Sartoria and her soul, and how she wasn't actually reborn. It was just her soul put into the body.
Yes.
So she's kind of just coexisting. And then obviously we then find out that they're going to put her soul in the star, which she's okay about, because she's like, we will meet again or whatever to Seraphina. And then we know that, yeah, she will be reborn. And then the whole thing about her not being reborn in Sera is that Sera doesn't look like her because they have different coloured hair, and Sartoria has red hair. So now obviously we make that connection that Poppy is Sartoria reborn. And then because that was a big qualm I had from Blood and Ash, because I was like, the whole thing about, I need to learn the consort's name, no one knows her name. And then Poppy was like, deep down I do know her name. And it was never explained in From Blood and Ash how she knew her name.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This is such a big plot point that's missing. And now obviously there's this. But I don't know, I feel like ever since getting back into reading now I like read. If there's a multiverse, then I'll read all the books. But if I was just picking up from Blood and Ash, I wouldn't necessarily dive straight into the other ones as well.
Yeah,
especially because not a lot of people that are just reading for fun aren't consuming books at the rate that we consume books.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, like, I just felt like there should have been, I don't know, a little something in from Blood and Ash as well to explain that.
Just kind of tie it in a little bit more.
Yeah, but now obviously we know that, yeah, Poppy is Satoria reborn, which is the other thing, because I know that Seraphina had that prophecy about her, about how, like, she'll be the Asher of death or whatever, and she'll bring about the end of times. But then, like, oh, wait, no, it's not about her, it's about, like, further down the line. And now we're like, okay, well, that's Poppy. But, yeah.
Yeah. That is such a wonderful explanation. It was so succinct, Kenzie. I was completely appalled by that. No, that was fantastic.
Thanks.
But yeah, I agree with the whole, like, the Satori thing and the difference or the technicalities between, like, a reborn and a rebirth. And I'm just thinking, is Jennifer just now flipping everything on its head just to kind of catch us out? Or, like, because now you feel like, well, what you know is absolutely false.
Yeah.
And it was a significant point that's constantly brought up, even through Callum and, like, through other people. They're like, you're not Satoria for XYZ reasons. And obviously Sera is just bullshitting her way through it.
And then also, because there were so many times, because Satoria's soul, is coexisting with Sera's soul.
Yeah.
And so then Callum, who we find out is Satoria's brother.
Yeah, wow.
Fun times.
I like that twist, though.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, you're not my sister, blah, 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 because you don't look like her, blah, blah, blah. But then some people are like, oh, I can sense her soul next to Sera's, and then other people are like, I can only sense Sera's soul. And it's like, I feel like, there was too many ideas going on, and they needed to pick one line. And because, that's such a juxtaposing thought process, or, like, way of writing, because you can't, like, you just can't have some characters being like, oh, I only sense this soul, and then other characters being like, oh, but I sense two souls, and then they're actually being two souls. Like,
it
doesn't make sense.
And, was it the god Penelope, even in the last book, didn't, like, they or someone in that book confirm that Satoria's soul is in Sera? Like, I don't remember really what happens, but someone confirmed that. And then obviously Colas being, I suppose, maybe reverting back into that obsessive nature, he is kind of, in a way, gaslighting himself into thinking he senses, or that Sera actually looks like Satoria. And, like, so he has that sort of bias that, all right, this is her. And then you bring in another god who, I forget her name. The one that could tell lies or can sense truths or whatever.
Oh, I can't remember.
And, like, she's able to suss it out, but then obviously lie through her teeth as well. Yeah, it was just a big rigmarole of trying to ascertain, like, what is actually going on with Sera and Satoria's soul. But, interesting. How do you feel about this the star thing being this vessel? Because I feel like, I don't remember when it got brought up, even if it was in the last book, someone said something, or because I read it and then there was like a mention of this.
Yeah, because that was the thing, like I thought the whole point of the book was that Sera has to make Colas fall in love with her and kill Colas, but then suddenly Ates comes in for 5 minutes and goes, oh, well, actually, no, the plot of this book is now going to be you need to get this star because then you can trap the soul of Satoria in it. But I was like, okay, where has this come from? Why don't more people know about this? Like,
yeah, and obviously everyone, Colas obviously knows about it, and that's why he hid it. Again, just like a confusing carousel rigmarole of all this. And then, suddenly the star became important. Yeah, I don't know if Ates was the one that said it, but yeah. And then I'm like, suddenly the star is important? Like, what's going on? And I got a little bit confused.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Like, I just thought, all of a sudden that the whole, story was about getting this star, and then it was above her the whole time. I don't know, I didn't get
the cleverness of it.
Yeah, and I didn't understand, the significance of it.
But I suppose if it was going to be like a situation where she had to get Colas to fall in love with her, it would have just been book one all over again, in a way. And, like, is that really that creative? But then the question is, like, how does, Ates know all this if he is just, like, I suppose he is a primal god as well. Yeah.
And then the whole, I'm loyal to the primal of life, which is you, because you have the embers or whatever. And then, I was so over everything. Like, gods would say, I'm loyal to this or whatever. Or, like, she'd do something. And she's like, it's just the embers. And it's like, okay, but the embers are quintessentially a part of you.
Yeah. Yeah, again, she's kind of resigned herself to, like, her embers. Like, that's all she's known for. And she doesn't doubt that, or she doubts that she kind of deserves it. I suppose it was placed in her bloodline. If it wasn't meant to be her, then it wouldn't be her. Like, she is obviously strong and powerful and capable of being a great goddess of the primal of life, etc., etc., but yeah, I don't know, it's just more self-doubt, and like, come on, we're 3 books in now. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, characters, who resign in their power and stuff, it's just, it annoys me. And like, so what does Ateus know about Satoria? Like, what's his relationship with her? I feel like something must be up, because he's like...
He knew Satoria.
Oh, he knew, alright. Yeah. But he should ascertain if they're best buds or something, because now it's very ominous. Like, is this now like a secret love trial situation? Love triangle situation? Because Ateus seems to have much more of a significant relationship to her than Colas ever did. So I don't know. I enjoyed the Callum revelation just because he now has some significant meaning. Makes me a little sad that he feels guilty that he wasn't there to protect his sister. But now I'm more confused about how revenants are actually made, because Colas even said it's just, it depends on the intention and about like what's happening in the situation, but like that doesn't make sense. It's too vague.
Yeah. I think this is just one of those things where they've put it in the main series and then they've gone, I actually haven't fleshed these out, but I need to, so here's a quick explanation. And
it's just, shit happens. It was an accident. It's like every revenant is unique. So then you apply that system to, say, a character like Millicent. Like, what does that mean for her? Any other qualms you got, Kenzie?
Not off the top of my head, but...
Despite a lot of info dumping about just the world and the souls and the definitions of rebirth and birth and like all the array talk and all that stuff and the how to defeat
Colas. Yes, sorry, I do have another qualm. Sorry, this is so insignificant. But half the time they would refer to them as the array, and then half the time they would say the fates.
Yeah, they're technically 2 different things, but they are
the same thing. But I was just like, pick a lane.
Yeah, just pick one. I think, like, I know there's a difference. But amongst all the talk, it's quite funny how early in the book they were talking about, like, the ancient language and what words or names mean certain things. And funnily enough, Satoria, the name, actually means my pretty poppy.
Oh.
So that is probably why Callum is like my pretty poppy, pretty flower, like part of a song or something, perhaps. And or Satoria is ancient language for the name Poppy in general. So like there's a nice sneaky connection there. I'm kind of proud of that one, to be honest, because like, it's not that important, but like, it's my pretty garden or something. A lot of flowers, I suppose, which makes sense because Satoria was like what her prominent scent is like related to like lilacs and stuff anyway.
Yeah, lilacs. Always the lilacs.
I don't know, it's just like a nice flower. Alright, quick qualm. I found it was very easy for Sera to manipulate Colas. She was asking so much of him that was obviously suspicious.
Yeah.
I know she's lying through her teeth and being like, I don't actually love Nyktos, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I love him, but I'm not in love with him, or like I'm fond of him.
And like you're bullshitting in front of like a primal god who has been around for a long ass time. But again, I suppose he is Satoria crazy in the mind, so he's willing to kind of compromise and let his guard down.
That's what another thing that I just couldn't get my head around. I understand he's Satoria crazy or whatever, and he's been searching for his love, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, there has to be some realistic expectations on Colas here. Just be like, oh my god, you're Satoria, yay, I'm in love with you, let's lie together and sleep together. It's like, let's cuddle. And it's like, Colas, have some boundaries, yo.
Yeah, he's been alone for so long. He hasn't been with anyone since, though, Kenzie.
And then Satoria didn't even like him.
Yeah, no, she didn't. Yeah, that's just the crazy thing. It's such a reach. But anyway, yeah, Sera was asking of Colas so much that, it should have gotten her killed, to be honest.
Yeah.
The saving Nyktos' life, saving Rain's life, and even stopping Vess's punishment. It's like, you are asking so much, but you're not...
returning anything.
Yeah, whether it be just like, even pretending to like love him or anything like that. Like she never had the flirty words or anything towards him. But it's all under the guise of like, I don't know you, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Collis has been suspicious of her the entire time, and he had every right to be because of the whole Nyktos. She's married to Nyktos technically, although not really technically because he didn't bless it, blah blah blah. But like, it was just too easy for her to manipulate him like that.
Yeah,
I just felt like there was not a lot of consequence for her. Because what actually happened to her? She was just imprisoned, and then she gets a little bit of a walk around.
Yeah. And then he convinces her to kill someone.
Yeah. Oh, to be fair, yeah, that was actually quite cool, of a bit of a grit from Collis as well. No,
Yeah.
I liked that though. It was pretty cheeky.
Yeah.
And then, because the god she killed, because he assumed he was assaulting that, the mortal or whatever, or the god or whatever, the chosen, that guy was from Keela's court. And then when Keela helped at the end, I thought she was going to use that against Sera. Because Sera just outright was like, I'm here of my own free will, fuck Nyktos.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to come up again. But there was no
doesn't.
animosity or tension at all. So I'm like,
Yeah.
where is all this consequence for all these actions?
Nowhere.
And just how the assumption that everyone is loyal to Collis in a way, or they will do what it takes to please Collis, because Collis is this almighty, all-powerful primal. But every motherfucker is loyal to either Sera or Nyktos, and they lie through their teeth for each other.
And then, also, yeah, because everyone's like, oh, we're loyal to the real primal of life. And then it's like, okay, well then wouldn't you feel that Collis isn't the primal of life and that the embers reside in Sera?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
I have a qualm. I think there's a couple of qualms, but one of my qualms is take a shot for every time they say false king. Or the false,
Okay.
the false king.
Yep.
That was annoying me. And then there was another phrase, but I can't remember.
Was it like Gracia? Gracia or whatever? My Gracia.
Oh, my Gracia or whatever.
Cardia is gone.
No, it was something else, but anyway. Oh, and then we find out that, because Collis calls Sera soulless, Soulas, I assume.
Yeah.
And we find out that means my soul. So he calls her my soul, and it's like, gross.
Yeah, out of all the pet names you could have.
Yeah.
Although I found it very cool in the beginning, after the 6 or 7 chapters of Collis and Nyktos just beating the shit out of each other, that we get to interact with like other kind of primal gods. So, you know, we hang out with Phanos or whatever, Phantos, whoever he is, for a bit. He's like the water guy. Mm-hmm. And I just loved, I think that was probably my favourite part, was when he takes her to the Trident Isles or something, and like all the Serene are just sacrificing their life for her because she is actually dying, and like they need her alive. I thought that was really cool. But then she has that whole guilt of having these people just die in her name and for her.
Yeah.
And at the same time, ironically, the embers of life were thrumming because they wanted to be used on them as well. Now, that was cool. That was probably the only real badass aspect of the book. But then I thought we were going to hang out in the Trident Isles to get away from Nyktos, but apparently not.
Yeah. No. We're just dying and killing off the sirens. Sirens.
Yeah, the Serene or whatever they are. Yeah.
Siren.
Crazy.
According to the audiobook.
Then we're just stuck in, we're in Dalos? Yeah, I thought we were going to explore more of the area, but no, we're just still in Dalos or somewhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. The whole book takes place in Core Palace, or they find out they're not in Core Palace. I don't know, whatever. It takes place in wherever Collis is, and then it takes place very briefly at the lake, and then back in the Shadowlands. And it's like, cool, we have 2 locations for this entire book. It felt like when a TV show has episodes, and I read about this, that they did it with Friends, and I'm sure they did it with a couple of other things as well, where every season they have at least one episode that solely takes place on one set, so that they don't have to spend money on like other sets and locations. And that's what it felt like in this book. This book felt like, oh, we're going to save money and we're only having 2 locations.
But yeah, this is all coming from your mind, Jennifer. Let's expand, please.
Yes.
Not a lot of bouncing around, which was unfortunate, but yeah, that's when I get confused now, because she was able to kind of weasel her way into talking to someone and then being like, oh, we're not at Core Palace, because she was worried about being there. But then I'm not sure where they actually were.
Yeah.
They were just in Dalos, I think. How do we feel about Nyktos being in stasis?
I think that was a convenient way to not have any chapters for him.
Yep. That's very fair. I mean,
let's get him out of action for a little bit.
Yeah. Why did he not just outright... Oh, I suppose because he's connected to Sera, which in turn is connected to Satoria, and if he died, she died sort of situation. I love that the dream sex makes a reappearance. Now we actually know that that's a heartmate
the dream
thing.
walking. Yeah.
Dream walking. I did enjoy that a little bit more about, like Rain's power, because we don't really see him much. He seems to have that animosity towards Sera, which is fair enough because she did try to kill Nyktos. Very interesting that he has like a thought projection ability, and he got caught on purpose to try and suss her out and save her.
And Sera saves him.
Yep, and just...
Sorry, I also didn't like it, back to the heartmates thing, how they talk about it, but they don't confirm it. And it's like, okay, obviously you're heartmates. Like,
like, just say it for what it is.
Just say it,
This can only happen to mates of the heart.
Mates of the heart. Yeah, whatever.
It's like, bro, that's totally us.
And then I liked how conveniently... I've heard of one thing that can, override having your cardio removed, and that's, being mates of the heart or whatever. Because he's just like, I love you, like, I know that I can't, but I'm in love with you. And so it's like the cardio wound is stitching itself back together.
Yeah.
Because they're heartmates.
Yeah, love conquers all. If we've learnt anything in these books, love saves the day. I suppose another interesting aspect of this book was that... Or it could be a bit repetitive in that in the second book, especially, like, we had Sera and Nyktos, blossoming relationship, blah, blah, blah. She attends his court, oversees what he does, etc. And then it's just the same thing in this book where she is allowed to be a part of Colus's court process and, like, sussing out all the grievances of all the other gods and this, that, and the other.
And it's like, how do you guys know that she's not a spy for Nyktos?
Colus has Satoria's mind on his dick. Like, he's not thinking properly. Like, he is this almighty imposing figure, and he is just, like, a puddle for Satoria / Sera. Like, he trusted her far too easily.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, like, the mundanity of it. Like, she's a prisoner, she gets to see Colus's court life and how he acts as a king, etc., etc. A little bit on the boring side. Just back to, like, Satoria in general, like, I do enjoy learning about her previous, or her life before she decided to jump off a cliff or fall off a cliff, whatever happened. I enjoy... whatever. I enjoyed that, we learned that Callum is her sister. We learned that she has another sister. And that's, at one point in her reborn or rebirth journey, that it was interesting that Ethos actually killed her at some point as well, for whatever reason, or however it happened. It's not that Jennifer is, like, undoing information. She's probably catching everybody out on who to believe, what stories, and who to trust, really. Because obviously, if it's from Nyktos, you're going to think, Ethos was probably a great guy, and, like, he died in vain, and this was all unjustified in a way. But then, you get to Colus, and he gets to talk about his sorrow sob story, and how, Ethos killed her the second time, and obviously everything, it just gives Colus more justification, and I don't know. We don't want to sympathise with Colus in any way. But at least Satoria's soul is what kept Sera alive, ultimately.
What did we think of Sera using her power to free Nyktos? And
I thought that was really cool.
Vesies, and put Colus into stasis by, by shoving an ancient's bone through his chest, etc., etc.
Yeah, I thought that was incredibly badass, but of course something like that was heading to a boiling point because, again, Sera was pushing and pushing Colus.
But is it, also a little bit OP and just a narrative tool, because if she has that power, she should have been able to use it the whole time.
Yeah, but I suppose she's still in that process of not being able to control it, and she can only control it if she gets very emotional and all that type of stuff.
I want to talk about then also, so once Nyktos and Sera have escaped, blah, 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 they've gotten Satoria's soul out, and then Sera's like, alright, time to die, whatever. I want to talk about how Ash pretty much says, fuck that, I'm going to ascend you instead.
Yeah.
Hot. And then we get Sera in stasis, and she is like going through her memories, and like she doesn't, first of all, she like doesn't know who she is. She only knows that she's like the beginning, like she's the primal of life. I was very worried that we were going to get another book a la someone in stasis and someone's point of view telling them.
No, this is so funny. I think I said this in the whatever Ash and Blood book, whatever the recent From Blood and Ash book, that imagine if this book had an aspect of like a stasis situation and Nyktos was recalling memories and it actually happened. I was
Lucky
beside
also did a
myself.
few times. But also, sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, no, just that whole section of the book, it was interesting because now we kind of understand what Poppy was going through in that book as well, and like how she was kind of fighting for her memories, despite even through Castile's stories to her, etc. I just thought it was very interesting that we got the glimpse of that. But it sucks that now that this book has come out first and like everyone's like confused about probably how Poppy was going about it, because if you're just reading the From Blood and Ash book and not the prequel series, like you're gonna have no clue what stasis actually means.
And then also, though, a big qualm is like when she wakes up, she doesn't know, she still doesn't have all her memories, but she knows, she's like, oh, Ash, like this one's mine or whatever. So they proceed to have sex.
They have a lot of sex from here.
They have a lot of sex, and it's like you don't even know who you are. And then she figures out who she is. Yeah, and they have even more sex, and it's like I feel like there are more pressing matters at heart than just boning.
Yeah, because Colas at that point has now kind of awakened as well. Like, he's out of his little stasis.
The whole, like, final 15% of the book and, like, last few chapters are just them having sex. And I was like, I want more information about what's happening and what's to come. And now she's queen of the gods, like...
Yeah, she's the true primal of life. Yeah, the goddess. Yeah, the queen of the gods. Back to, just the Nyktos ascending her and them extracting Sartoria's soul. There was a lot of kerfuffle about how dangerous it was and how Sera's life is going to be at risk, and it's a simple procedure, but like shit can still go wrong, even with Nyktos ascending her, because he's been apprehensive to do it the past 2 books essentially now, because he's scared that she's just going to die. And they have all these love declarations of like, I'm ready, it's okay, like I want you to love if I don't make it, blah blah blah, and then it just turns out to be fine.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you have to worry about?
Yeah.
Like, it would have been interesting if something did go wrong and then they fixed it in the process because they were prepared for it, but no, it's just like, you're fine. And that's just kind of like annoyed me. Again, weirdly enough, there's like no stakes.
Because we know what's going to happen. And we know
yes, because we know what's going to happen. It all comes back to the first series. Jesus Christ. And then, just the last 15% amongst all the sex is just the love declarations and them all fluffy words and descriptions and I love yous and blah, blah, blah. It's like, Colas is awake now. Surely he's going to be on your ass. I'm glad that Sera has finally ascended and the rot has stopped. Who knew that's what it took? It could have been sorted out in the last book.
Yeah,
they didn't have to suffer this long.
Yeah. And she's like, oh my god, it stopped. There's grass in the Shadowlands.
And I think they were also worried about, like, taking the embers. Like, obviously she felt like she didn't, like, the embers aren't for her, etc. But, like, and no one even tried to take her embers. I suppose the Sartorial soul thing, blah, blah, blah. But the way they talked about it was a very risky situation despite them having to do it anyway. Like, I understand the whole, like, I'm willing to die because, you know, a lot of people just don't survive the ascension regardless. Like, of course there's that risk. Of course they have to succeed. Otherwise,
overall, I'm just not impressed by this book.
Fair enough. Yep, and that is your right.
Oh, well, I don't have much more that I have on my notes.
Just quickly, when Sera was in stasis, there's like a moment where she recognizes some cave cats, or a cave cat.
Oh, yes.
We know where that leads, of course. I think it was implied that it was her.
Yeah.
And I love that they did go back to the lake, or actually, it wasn't quite their lake, it was some other, or was it actually the lake? Probably was their lake, actually.
They went to a, like...
Hot spring,
but then they did go back to the lake.
Also, very interesting that the revelation of Ethos' soul was already in the star. So Ethos has not managed to have been reborn or rebirthed, etc. as well. And now he is able to. So in the grand scheme of things, who do we think Ethos is going to become if he's somebody in the actual series?
I'm not sure. Maybe he just found peace.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe he's in Arcadia. Yeah, it doesn't have to always be reborn. And then there was just a lot of kerfuffle about the justification of the array and the fates and the whole balancing the world since Colas took those embers and what it took, etc., etc. It's like, we get it. Like, the ultimate theme of this book is about balance of life and just balances of power. Like, I don't think we need to go into extremities on how it actually works or intricate details as to what the array or the fates actually had to do. How do we feel real quick about the whole Colas kind of assaulted Sera in that scene?
Oh, yeah.
Your face right now. It's probably because you have a headache.
Yeah. Again, like, in the disclaimer, it's like, it's not nothing, because obviously it is something, but
I forgot to mention that disclaimer. Oh my god. Oh well. Trigger warning, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, trigger warning, sexual assault. Colas bites Sera and then, like, has her in front of him, and he, like, ejaculates, and so, like, it's on his pants and it's on Sera, which, like, I always find it really funny when men come, like, in their pants.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm like, lol, how embarrassing. Yeah.
Yeah, why not see that as more of an... I suppose it's still, in a way...
Because she says, she's like, I've embarrassed you and myself or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, I guess we all know how I feel about sexual assault being used as a monetary device.
Yeah, but I'm glad that's all it was.
Yeah.
And in a way, that incident itself kind of saved Sera in a way as well, because it was an obvious tool and motivation for Colas to kind of take a step back and be like, all right, I need you to actually, like, trust me if you are going to fall in love with me again as Satoria, etc., etc. So it was a good tool for him to back off a little bit. But I feel like, he was brought up to be this imposing primal god, and he is just not it.
Exactly. He's like this bumbling fool who's in love.
Yeah. And again, everyone has this faux loyalty towards him.
I kind of wish we'd had moments where, like, Sera was like, where, like, he would do really nice things for her or something, so, like, she would have, like, a little bit of that confusion going on, like.
Not enough actual prophecy of her killing him.
Yes.
or making them fall in love with each other.
Yes.
Alrighty. Shall we go to the stars that listen?
Let us go to the stars that listen. I have nothing else to say. I have nothing else I want to say. This book is a book. It has its place in its series, but I want it to end.
I love it. Because we know where it ends up.
Exactly. Well, and then, because it's going to meet up with the main series, so...
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, quick theory time, perhaps. Because, obviously, you're an intelligent cookie, and we thought the same thing, that Satoria's soul is actually going to be Poppy, and that's, obviously Poppy's whole thing leading forward. And then, that's why Callum is still a bumbly fool in From Blood and Ash. But
yes,
then Poppy must actually look like Satoria then.
Yeah, well, they both have red hair.
Some element of freckles too, because apparently Sera had too much freckles.
Yeah. She had 36.
Which, alright, just quickly, just with the whole, like, so if they're reborn or rebirthed and they look like the person, that's not how genes work, though. If two people have sex, have a baby, and the baby does not look like either of them, like, something is wrong. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like,
yes.
Only Satoria's parents should be able to replicate Satoria, you know? I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, I just thought of that, so I don't know. But how weird, now the prospect of just, like, Satoria's soul, either it's actually Poppy as well, or they kind of, like, had a shared situation.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird to think that Callum has that connection to Poppy now. I don't know. It's just so weird. So unnerving. It's probably why he's best buds with Millicent, though, because they look alike. Maybe Millicent's Satoria, actually.
The shock.
No. Yep, all good. Alright, so the stars that listen, I'm done with this book.
Alright, this is the segment we do at the end of podcast where we go and look at 1-star reviews and 5-star reviews. We don't search very hard, but it's fun. And so we start with our 1-star so that we're not ending on a negative note. I will go first. I did not search very hard for this.
Okay.
Alright. In my opinion, this is what happens when you only give advanced reader copies to readers in your cult fan group who refuse to give constructive criticism. Nothing happened. Literally could have condensed this into 200 pages instead of having a book that just keeps repeating the same two scenarios over and over. This could have ended in one book instead of two. I have never seen an author have such a toxic fan base that refuses to take their heads out of their author's ass.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. which is like harsh, but also I agree that the book could have been condensed.
I suppose, again, at the end of the day, everyone forgets that this is the romantasy, so it's just about the love aspect, and this is the trials and tribulations that lead to their ultimate love and their heartmateship, and that leads to, obviously, Poppy and Castile later on. So, like, that's all they're worried about. They just love the relationship aspect. I don't think they actually care about the plot, or there being a plot. Alright, do you have any more, or is that it?
That was it.
Alright, I have 2 1-star. Again, I didn't search very hard for these. Alright, so this is just a quote from page 159. You speak of the kingdom that makes me think of tasty layered noodles and cheese.
Oh, yes, that was my qualm. Sorry.
The inside joke of the lasagna.
The inside joke, yeah, about lasagna. And I was like, you fucking dick bag.
I audibly groaned. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was like, what
self-aware?
the fuck? Yeah.
I'm out of it now.
Yeah.
And then the next one is another quote from page 145 that may be a little bit cringy. I suppose that was fast food, ?
Oh,
Yikes.
yeah. Yuck.
And then my other 1-star review is a bit of a paragraph. So disappointed. Absolutely nothing happens. And the world building has officially fallen off a cliff. After 5 of these books, I still have no idea what the difference between a Revenant versus Craven versus Ascended is.
Yeah.
I've given up trying to keep the primal god, godlings, and various mixes straight. The rules around powers Sera has from the embers are befuddling. The changes brought on from switching the primals of life and death are pointless and add another layer of confusion. I don't see the point of dragging out a series when it drives your readers away. Fair.
Alright, my 5-star is, I don't care what anyone says, this might have been the best book in the series. Yes, Sera being in captivity was literally half the book and kind of annoying, but everything else was good. And the writing was like different from the other books. It wasn't as repetitive and annoying, which is why I liked it.
That was mine as well.
Oh no! Because I was like, yeah, this is funny. It's like, why'd you give them 5 stars? Like, you're giving constructive criticism anyway.
Oh, my 1 5-star is within the screenshot and it's 1 sentence, but I'm sure there's a whole paragraph under it. But it said, I need this book like yesterday. We'll end on that note. But also, apparently, if you think the From Blood and Ash series is over, Jennifer is also releasing a compendium book, which is just like a comprehensive guide to the aspects of the world, and apparently there's going to be like bonus chapters and all that stuff.
I want a compendium, but I want a visual compendium.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I need fan art. I need art.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a part of it as well.
Good.
Combined with original short stories and scenes from some of the world's most beloved characters, and never before seen visual enticements, it's a treat for the senses. Not sponsored or anything, I just thought it was interesting to point that out. And it's told from the point of view of Miss Willa herself. Funny how that's being said, but we are currently in, the prequel aspect, but okay. I suppose it's just for the whole entire world.
Yeah.
Did we enjoy the 800-page pronunciation guide?
Yes. I needed it.
It was good.
But also had the audiobook, so yeah.
But also, I felt like I didn't see half of those words in the book, though. But I'm sure they were in there, tucked away.
That is okay. Anyway, thank you all for listening as usual. Find us on Instagram at letterbox_book_club. From there, you'll find our link tree in our bio, which will take you to all of the places.
Yep. And we haven't decided what's coming out next week. I'm sure next week will be 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly, can't remember her last name on the top of my head.
Oh good, I think it's Tilly Crane or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, keep an ear out for that. Completely deviating from this fantasy world for the time being.
Yes, please.
For now. It's we've put in too much to give up on it right now, Kenzie.
Yes, I know.
Have to read it for the
I'm not
shits and
giving up.
gigs.
I'm going to finish it all, but yeah.
We're going to finish it and we're going to potty it. And if you're there, we'll do it so you don't have to, We'll sacrifice our time and energy and brain cells. Keep an ear out for next week. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.